Do you feel that the extent of computer literacy among students is greatly exaggerated at times, so that many students actually need to learn how to use the computer and all the computer language before they can go on and learn a language through the computer? And on the flip side of that, do you think that many classrooms focus too much on technology in ed, on tech in ed, as it is called, to such an extent that they are doing a disservice actually to many students who may not be that computer literate?
I think that the literacies, the digital literacies aspect, we've still quite a long way to go before we catch up. We're hearing a lot of people talking about digital literacies, but a lot of people can be a bit confused about what they are, me included. I mean, one thing that occurs to me is that we're still set in some old ways of doing things, like, for example, if we're using texts, using skimming and scanning, using scanning for this idea of finding specific information, which I find very, very questionable about the usefulness of that if we're not actually using it for means of teaching vocabulary, which is, for me, that is the usefulness in it. If we're wanting a digital literacy, think of all the times, I think about all the times, for example, I'm looking back for an article I read online, for example, in an online newspaper, and I've got to identify 5 or 6 terms that were really solid from that article that I remember that I could put into the Google search in order to try to retrieve that article. That's a literacy that I've never seen used in a mainstream way yet. So that's a kind of one tiny example of the literacy that we've got to catch up on. The other part of the question was
the flip side of that was, do you think that many classrooms actually focus too much on technology and education today, so that some students may feel having a disadvantage because they may not be that computer literate as they're required to be?
I'm not sure. I think maybe technology is the name that we give to it, but if we're talking about younger learners anyway, they don't see it as technology. My nephew loves my iPad. I don't think he would regard it as technology. He sees it as a nice, colourful, flashing toy. No more technology than a bunch of building blocks that I bought him for his birthday that he seems to enjoy less. And so I don't know if we're putting too much emphasis on it. I just think it's important that we move with what is current and what is being used. We move with what learners and people in general get their information from. Move with what is it that makes us in the world. If you could say that you are what you see, you're defined by the images that are and media that is communicated to you. It builds up your understanding of the world. It leads to things like stereotypes, and it's very, very good to be able to see through that. If these images and media are coming through us through technological means, if that's what we're going to call it, then yes, that's what we have to work with and engage with as educators and teachers.
Stay with the times.
Yeah.
What may be new to us, maybe not new to the young children. I can totally cope with you because my 3-year-old niece knows already how to use my iPhone better than I do.